So what is going on, guys? I'm Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are going to be taking a look at even more conspiracy theories within Call of Duty Zombies that we've seen over the years, especially in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3 Zombies, but there are plenty of conspiracies in all of our Zombies games. I've done quite a few videos as a part of this series by now, so if you're wondering why something is missing from this video, maybe I've talked about it in another one. So I will link all of the previous Zombies conspiracy videos down in the description. Go ahead and check them out. But let's get straight into today's, starting off with Kino Toten, and there are a few ones from this map that I want to talk about in today's video. But the first one regards the posters that you find around the map. Now, there are three in particular that I want to focus on, being this one, the Faust poster, another one right here, which is titled Pygmalion, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and the third and less interesting one, which is labelled Die Bismarck. So because Kino Toten takes place in an abandoned theatre in Berlin, Germany, as you would expect, what we are seeing here are posters of plays. Now this first one, the Faust poster, the most interesting because it's where most of the conspiracies lie, is actually a real classic German legend. It is about a man named Faust. Basically, he was a successful scholar, but he was never satisfied and so made a deal with the devil, exchanging his soul for ultimate knowledge and worldly pleasures. The devil then sent a representative who was Mephistopheles to serve Faust with magic powers, and one of the big things that happens is Mephistopheles helps Faust to seduce a girl who is called Gretchen, whose life gets destroyed, but through her innocence still enters heaven. And once Faust's deal with the devil comes to an end, because the deal was he only gets magic powers for 24 years, once that 24 years is up, as per their agreement, Faust is damned to hell. So how exactly does this link to zombies? And the conspiracy was, in our zombie storyline, the Shadow Man represents the devil. On the poster you can see the devil overlooking, I'm assuming this smaller person is Faust. However, a clearer connection is made to zombies when we look in the map Shadows of Evil, and we see on another poster Nero, and on his shoulder is a devil whispering in his ear. Now we know in Shadows of Evil this is pretty much what happened. The Shadow Man got in Nero's ear, or Nero's lawyer's ear, and manipulated him into getting into the situation that we see him in, into becoming trapped in this twisted, hellish version of Morgue City. If you listen to the radios in this map, the Shadow Man poses as a company executive and tells Nero's lawyer that Nero's wife, behind his back, had accumulated a large amount of debt, and in the end this led to Nero killing his wife.
As you can see, these documents give some indication as to the considerable amounts of money we are talking about.
My client would never have signed the authorization on these loans.
Nonetheless, there it is, in black and white, signed by the Mrs. herself.
Nero's family estate is not what it once was. Even if these documents are genuine, we'll need some time to get our affairs in order.
I would advise your client that our company intends to aggressively pursue settlement within 1 week. 15 days at the most.
Look, I need to make a call. My secretary will see you out.
Of course, this was all a trick by the Shadow Man. He wanted this to happen, so it's clear on the post that we find in this map that this devil here represents the Shadow Man, manipulating Nero. Then when we go back to the Faust poster we find in Kino Toten, could the devil here also supposed to be representing the Shadow Man? Now, one big important thing to consider here is, of course, Kino Toten released in 2010. We didn't hear anything about the Shadow Man until Black Ops 3 Zombies, which came out 5 years later. I don't think during 2010 Treyarch even considered the idea of the Shadow Man or Dr. Monty, so perhaps back then this wasn't supposed to be him specifically, but there were conspiracies during that time that there were other figures that we didn't know of that were influencing everything that happened. Those two figures would be the Shadow Man and, more importantly, Dr. Monty. But now we can go back and make this connection. Is the devil we find on the poster in Kino a representation of the Shadow Man? Or you could even say Dr. Monty. Faust could perhaps represent our premise characters, or more so our Ultimus characters. In a way, they unknowingly made a deal with Dr. Monty to continue the endless cycle, but I think if we were to link this poster to anything in our zombie storyline, to me it just makes more sense for the devil to be the Shadow Man, Faust to be, it could be a number of characters, Richtofen, because in the 1940s when he became corrupted by the Dark Ether and was electrocuted by the MPD pyramid, he began hearing the voices of corruption in his head. One of those was the Shadow Man. The Shadow Man was speaking to Richtofen. In Blood of the Dead, we also know the Shadow Man was talking to the Warden.
No! Contraption!
Hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Apologies, my lord. I am here.
Calm, faithful Warden, calm. I bring glad news. The world that you seek is near at hand.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you.
So the Shadow Man has spoken to many characters in their heads and tried to manipulate them, which is what the devil is doing in the Shadows of Evil poster. And if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say perhaps that was what was being hinted at, although at the time there was no way of knowing it, not for us and not even for Treyarch, in this Kino der Toten poster. But that isn't the only one that we find on this map. This one, Pygmalion, is actually kind of a Treyarch twist on a real life film called Metropolis. And if you look at the writing on the poster in German, if you translate that to English, it says, "He created a woman, but he gave her free will." The film nudges heavily towards Nazi ideology, about the powerful elites controlling everything, and the influences they use to control everything below them. So could you make a connection between that poster and what happens in our zombie story? I know a lot of people said the city that we see here looks similar to Shadows of Evil, and the other poster is Die Bismarck, which seems the least relevant, whilst you could just, looking at it in a plain way, say, was it a hint towards Call of the Dead, just seeing the two ships? That is a simple way to look at it. The Bismarck was a German battleship that sank in 1941, 2,000 sailors died on it. But yeah, relating to the zombie story, other than it maybe being a teaser to Call of the Dead, which is a little bit of a boring answer, that's all I can really get from this one. The next conspiracy relates to the distant monster that we see within Zetsubou no Shima. When you reach round 50, you will hear a noise on this map, and if you look past the tree line, you can see a big creature appear for a few seconds before walking away. But it's never been confirmed to us as to what this actually is. There have been theories, the main one being Cthulhu. Other people say this is an apothecon, but one we haven't seen because it doesn't look recognisable. So what is the monster in Zetsubou no Shima? Now, if we just go with the most popular one being that this is Cthulhu, well, we know that the Black Ops 3 zombie storyline, especially in the beginning in Shadows of Evil, when we saw all of these new creatures introduced, such as the Margwa, the Meatballs, the Parasites. We also have the Keepers. In other maps, we've got monsters such as the Furies. If you look into the sky in Shadows of Evil, when you activate the Pack-a-Punch, you see that big tentacle-looking creature. And we know a lot of the inspiration for the story in Black Ops 3 was taken from H.P. Lovecraft and his stories. And whilst we never actually see Cthulhu in Call of Duty Zombies or any Lovecraft creature directly, like I said, things such as the Parasites and the Margwa take inspiration, but they're not direct copies. So because of that, saying that this monster in Zetsubou is Cthulhu would be very out there. Well, if you were around during the beginning of Black Ops 3 and you played that game very early on, in Shadows of Evil, the max ammo icon actually used to be this before it was removed from the game and changed to what it is now. But the early version of max ammo in Shadows of Evil was this tentacle looking creature, and actually this is Cthulhu. This exact placeholder, this image, was taken from a book called New Cthulhu. I'm guessing the reason it was removed by Treyarch was because of copyright reasons. They took this image from the book and just placed it into the game. I'm guessing the author or whoever created the image complained and told them to remove it or pay them. But this is evidence that Lovecraft stories, and specifically in this case Cthulhu, does have an involvement in Black Ops 3. Cthulhu himself was the max ammo icon, and so knowing that, it's not too far-fetched to say perhaps this monster in Zetsubou is Cthulhu himself, who was kind of the shape of an octopus but had the wings of a dragon and a character of human form. And because Zetsubou no Shima is on an island, this is a location where you would actually expect to see him, but it's still a big shout. More than likely this is just another apothecon that we haven't seen, just like how we've only ever seen one version of the sky tentacle creature in Shadows of Evil. There must be other apothecons out there that we don't even know of, that we've never come across. But maybe, just maybe, this is Cthulhu. And what if Cthulhu is an apothecon? And the final conspiracy of today takes us all the way back to Kino der Toten. Now, I'm willing to bet not even 1% of people watching this video would have even heard of this. I tried to search online to see if this was a popular conspiracy theory and I couldn't see anyone talking about it. But ever since I first played Kino back in 2010, I for some reason just remembered this weird conspiracy theory that was going around during that time, 14 years ago, that's never been brought up since. I can remember all of my friends saying this, saying, Eli, come and look at this. What's going on here? There is a secret room in Kino, but how do we get there? If you still don't know what I'm on about, well, in the Black Ops 1 version of Kino, if you come outside here and go up to the window, you will see inside there is a room. But this room looks totally out of scale. It looks huge. You're kind of halfway up into the ceiling. If you look down, you see a chair, a door, some barriers. So you see this random room, and then if you just go around the corner, you see another window. And if you look through it, this one's a little bit more interesting though, because inside you see 3 blank portraits. So the conspiracy theory was behind these windows inside of this wall is a secret room that nobody could figure out how to get to. However, on the Zombies Chronicles version of Kino der Toten, well, this is gone. The window is moved slightly and it just leads to a small car garage. This massive room that we saw in Black Ops 1's Kino is no longer here. So going back to it, what was this? And well, actually, Treyarch also did a similar thing on a few other maps. I can remember on the Derice version of World at War, or maybe Black Ops 1, a similar thing happened, but Treyarch used reflections in the windows of rooms that already exist in Kino. So right here, this room that you can see in the window is actually this area. We know that because if you look up, you can see those very same blank portraits. Interestingly, when I went to collect all of the gameplay to make this video, this was the first time me seeing this room. Maybe I knew it before and I just forgot, but I didn't know there were extra portraits that existed on Kino besides from the main ones of our Ultimus characters. I didn't know these ones were here, so maybe that brings up another question: who are these blank portraits supposed to be? Because the other portraits that we have on this map aren't blank, besides from the 5th one. Getting back to what I was saying, yeah, the conspiracy back in the day was, well, because we can see in the reflection of these windows a room behind there that we can't access, that there must be a way to get to them, or it's a secret. But we can see Treyarch have just used rooms that already exist in Kino as reflections. Why? I'm not too sure. It's a little bit weird. They could have just made them blank. But yeah, this was a conspiracy theory back in the day. How big it was, I don't know, because I can't see anyone else talking about it when I do some research. But it was one that my friends would never stop talking about and always wanted to figure out. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.